Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Buongiorno everybody, day 5, Saratoga Today from Past the Wire, 2021 meet. Thank you to our sponsors, Zilla Racing Stables, one of the most exciting partnerships in the game. If you're looking to get in the game, check out Zilla. They got partnerships on every level of the sport, from pinhooking to 2-year-olds to claimers to stakes, all different levels, all different investment amounts. Very transparent operation. Contact them, Mike Piazza. Can't go wrong with Zilla, and they've already been in the winner's circle once with that incredible head bob opening day, and they're looking to get back into the winner's circle. Amwager helping us bring this to you. All the tools that a bettor could need. You'll see their commercial on the video, and we're into week 2 already. One thing about Saratoga, the meet, once it starts, it rolls and it goes fast. The other thing we already talked about, the weather, the rain, big factor today. A couple of races off the turf. Steeplechase race already canceled. It makes betting a challenge, these races. Some people love the off the turfs and the slop, and I tell you the truth, I used to really wait for those days and love them. I've kind of changed over the years, and I really don't at this point. I deal with them, and I don't despise them or hate them or anything, but I much prefer fast and firm. That's not the case today. How the track is going to be laid up. It's early, it's relatively mid-morning, earlier part of the morning now. How the track is going to be later today, I don't know. It depends on how much more rain hits. It did rain pretty hard last night. Like I said, a couple of races already off the turf. Steeplechase is canceled. We're going to have mud, slop, sealed. We'll see. With our one strong player to meet, albeit at a short price, what can you do? The track wound up sealed, which didn't matter, didn't anticipate, but didn't make a difference. We got that one home anyway. I do have an opinion on the card. One horse later, it's a tough race, but I'm going to take a little shot. We'll get to that in a minute. One of the things I wanted to say today is the meet goes fast, but it's a long enough meet now, especially with the 4 weeks, that there's something I like to look for during the Saratoga meet, and I've done it for many years, even when it was a short meet. Because when you go back to the August place to be, when it was the 4-week meet, just historically, the game was a little different back then, and horses ran more. They started more often. They weren't on Lasix in New York back then, and Lasix horses take longer to recover than non-Lasix horses because they get dehydrated and all of that. So, they just seem to run more. Whether that's the only reason or the main reason, who knows? The game's changed and evolved so much, and it's very much a different sport today, especially for the horses. But for all of us, really. But horses ran more, so this angle would apply back then as well, but more so now that the meet's longer. So that said, we'll be looking for horses that have run or won, especially won over the meet, running back. Haven't seen that yet. We're only in day 5, starting the second week. But we will see some horses that have won at the track and then come back and win again over it during the same meet. and we'll be looking for some live ones like that. And sometimes they'll slip by under the radar because they run back quick, or they move way up in class, or just different conditions. And it's something that I've liked and I've watched for years. So we'll be looking for that. A couple of other things that I think, everybody knows Luis Saez is riding lights out, looking like he can easily win the meet. Jose and Irad, as usual, riding lights out. Both of them could, win the meet. A couple of guys I think are riding really good that are a little bit under the radar right now, but are very reliable. And probably, if you've gone up to Saratoga over the years and you know a lot of riders, everybody gets competitive at Saratoga. Everybody just gives that little extra. For whatever reason, it's just always been the way it is. Angel Cordero, one time I did an interview with him. He was the king of Saratoga for years. I think he won 11 titles in a row. He explained how just everybody, but him especially, would just get so pumped up to win that Saratoga meet, and it just brings out the best in everybody. Riders are athletes, they're competitors, they get super competitive. So these guys that have not really taken off yet, okay, and they're going to win their races, they're hungry, they're watching other guys win a little bit more than them, they go back in that room together, they're friends in the room, rivals on the racetrack, but there's that little dynamic that unless you've been close to it and involved in it, and not even a rider, but just close to it and see how they are and the competitiveness, you realize that these guys, I love hungry riders. You know what I mean? I love a guy I know is like, looking to beat that other guy because they beat them last time, or they're at Saratoga, and, their families are in the stands with their kids watching. Everybody wants to be congratulated. Everybody wants to go to dinner or winner. So a couple of guys that I think are riding well, well-known riders, but a little bit under the radar, and I just know the competitive nature of these guys. I think they're hungry. So I'll mention a couple of them, and if you like a horse they're on, I would pay a little extra attention and not be scared to take a little bit of a plunge. Junior Alvarado is one. He's winning races, but not really on a par with those other guys. I'm sure he's hungry, and he's riding really good. He's putting his horses in the right spot. Another guy, Ricardo Santana, a little bit under the radar. I think he's actually an underrated rider. I think he's really good, top tier. Gets a lot of big horses from Asmussen, so he wins a lot of big races, but I think he could ride with anybody, anytime, anywhere, and very competitive. I'm watching him putting all his horses in the right spot. Tyler Gaffleone as well. He missed a day. It's only, we're on day 5. We're 4 days in. He missed a day going to Monmouth, I think on Saturday, on Haskell Day. He's a competitive guy too, super competitive. He's riding good. I think he's another one that's got to have that fire going. Everybody notices Cancel has improved greatly over the past, I would say, year. I told a good friend of mine about a year and a half ago, I thought he was improving then and was probably one of the most improved riders on the circuit. Maybe even 2 years ago, and it's proven to be true. So those guys are kind of on my radar as guys that when I see them on a live horse that I like, they're not those automatic money attracting riders like Irad and Jose and even Joel Rosario. Those guys, and historically at Saratoga there have always been guys that way. I mean, when Angel had his run, he was overbet all the time. I mean, you'd have horses open 6-5, 4-5. That shouldn't have been anything close to that. But Angel was on him. It was Saratoga. And people used to come just bet Angel, and that's why we love holiday money in the crowd. Because if you're not with the recreational holiday money, you get an edge. Same thing with Jerry Bailey when he was on his tear up at Saratoga, which lasted a long time as well, and he would get super pumped up for that meet. Same thing, overbet a lot. Those guys that I just mentioned don't really get overbet, and sometimes when the other guys do, and they're on horses that are as good or better, you get value, you get overlays, you get opportunities. That said, the feature on the card, they're running the Rick Violet Stakes for 2-year-olds, which is a very competitive race. It's the 4th race on the card. I guess they did that because it's only a 5-horse field with a bunch of 2-year-olds. Most of them run once. I think one ran twice. So that it's not part of the late pick 5 or pick 4 or anything. But on the later part of the card, that's where a horse caught my eye, and it's in the 9th race to feature a 1 1/8, non-winner of 3. Those races are tough to fill. It used to be you get all, they would all fill. Non-winners a 1, non-winners a 2, non-winners a 3. They didn't have to be optional claiming to fill. And I think it's an interesting race. I think I can beat the favorite, the morning line favorite, Forza de Oro from Bill Mott, who's coming off a layoff. Nice horse, no knock. Last 2 starts last year, excellent. But coming off a layoff, I don't know, at a 1 1/8 at Saratoga, where he's never been. Junior Alvarado is up, so that's betting against one of the guys that I mentioned. But you go where your process leads you. That's just an angle. It's not something that I'm going to base my wager on. It's just going to either give me, it's going to give me a little push if that's where I landed anyway. But I thought it was an interesting race. I lean to the 3 highest honors. This horse won the Curlin up there 2 years ago on a muddy track, very similar to what he may see later today. He ran into Travers after that, and he went from that, winning that race right into the Travers, grade 1. So that tells me that, they thought a lot of them. They wanted to get that grade 1 win, grade 1 placing, and ultimately a graded win. Didn't work out, didn't run that well into Travers, and laid off for, missed a year, okay? Not a gelding, and comes back. Had every reason to need the first race back off a year, even for Chad Brown, who's great off a layoff. That kind of layoff tells me there was something there that they had to, correct and give him time for. Don't know what it was. But if they brought him back, it's fixed, it's right, he's ready. So he had every reason to need that next race. And the time after that, I liked him a lot. He was on tracking trips, and, our subscription service on Past the Wire for trouble trips, horses to watch, things like that. Loved him, bet him, got a perfect, ideal trip. Looked like a winner every step of the way from out of the gate, sitting right off the pace, just angled out, drew off nice, smart win. So that race is, might look a little better than it actually was on the paper, because it was an absolute perfect trip. But that said, doesn't matter. They don't rush him into a stake. They run him back in this non-winner of 3. The race went, so they're lucky enough to not have to put him in a stake. But they're keeping him around. They're running him. I think they're getting him some confidence. I like that move. I like that methodical approach. I like the win in the mud in the Curlin. And like the Travers told me that they were looking to get that graded race. They brought him back. I think they still want it. And more important, I think they still think they can get it. Even though they're not running him there yet, I think they're trying to get him there in the right way. Maybe a race later in the meet, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, or the Woodward, or who knows where. But I think they think that they can maybe get it, and this might set them up for that. We'll find out. And it's an interesting race because Forza de Oro is going to take some money. West Will Power's got a very good race on an off track from the rail that if he ran back to, he would be very, very tough to beat. So, there's 2 interesting alternatives that could both wind up very close in price to highest honors. And in the pick 4s and 5s and 6, they'll take their share of money. So if you're on highest honors along with me, and he's a single for you like he would be for me, then you're getting a little bit of value that might be better than the actual win price would indicate. And it's tough this early in the meet, so I'm not really worried about price. Like I said, we're gonna get our bombs to go after, and we'll just patiently wait like a cobra waits to strike. That's just the game. Core Beliefs is another interesting horse. Winds up with Brian Lynch, used to be an assistant for Bobby Frankel. Super, super sharp guy, a little bit under the radar, but very, very sharp. That horse has been around a long time, but has run some races that would make him very, very competitive in here. And if he moves up for the new barn, he's definitely a horse that I would like to use for second under highest honors. But we'll see how it goes. That's my thoughts, and that's my shot for today. Tough race, tough card, off the turf. Not going to get overly involved in any multi-race wages or anything like that, or overly involved in anything. One thing about this game, everybody loves to attack every race every day and get excited for Saratoga, and that's great. I don't discourage anybody from doing that. Whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy, salute, do it, go after it. I'm a patient guy. I like to strike when I strike and try and make it really count. I could go to the racetrack with a pocket full of money and sit. If I don't like nothing, I don't bet. I just chill and watch and take my notes and observe, because I'm always watching, always observing, always taking notes, always looking for something I can get out of watching that's going to help me down the road make a score. Because to me, it's all about making those big scores, and I hope it is for you. And I hope that we make some together this meet. And if not, that we have a lot of fun. And we are looking forward to doing it again next year. So that said, ciao for now. We'll be back tomorrow for day 6. Maybe with more opinions. Maybe another punt. We'll see. Maybe one of those bombs to go after. Don't know. But thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. Come to the channel. I'm going to start trying to get these out earlier in the morning. But it's always tough with the changes and everything. So bear with us. But enjoy the races, and we'll see you in the morning.
Cloud computing outside. Classic Empire head to head down to the line. Cloud computing wins the Preakness.
Nobody does it better.